Hi, this is Frank Cruz, the Sober Guardian. So in today's video, I'm going to reveal to you how to cure autism, how I discovered the cure, and exactly what you need to do to cure the autism. Okay, so let me begin by telling you a little bit about myself. Aside from being a certified addictions recovery coach, I was mentored by more than likely the greatest holistic doctor that ever lived. This doctor was able to provide me with things that healed me where conventional medicine did not work. Doctors of all types and were just not able to help me. I had a severe case of Candida albicans, which is an overgrowth of yeast in the gut. Candida albicans exists naturally within the gut, along with the healthy flora that's in the gut. Once the balance is no longer there, the Candida will grow out of control, causing things like leaky gut syndrome, irritable bowels, foggy brain, a host of different symptoms that come as a result of Candida albicans, which can lead to some really detrimental things if left untreated. I went to doctors and, they said, yeah, you do have this. They were able to check, your stool and things like that, but they really had no effective way of treating it without damaging the body. So when I met Dr. Walter, he said, no, I'll be able to treat that for you. Now, Dr. Walter was a doctor, yes. He was also a biochemist. He had degrees in both, and he was also a holistic practitioner kinesiology. So with all those things combined, he was just, what they call in entertainment a triple threat. Well, he was that and then some. I will tell you, he helped me with severe dizzy spells. He was able to find out exactly where the problem was by using muscle testing. He actually found that it wasn't in my brain. He checked my brain with the ability that he had. No x-rays, nothing. Then he tested the middle ear. He put his fingers in my ear, and he asked me to do something interesting. He said, just put out your arm, Frank, and I'm going to push down on it, and I want you to resist while I'm pushing down. While he had his finger in my ear, I could not resist. He pushed it down, no problem. And he just simply said, Frank, the problem is in your middle ear. And I'm going to get the supplement and I'm going to see. So he went to his back room, brought the supplement out, told me to hold it to my chest. And then he put his finger in my ear again and he pushed on my arm. This time he could not push my arm down. So what he said was, this is what's going to help you, Frank. And he also taught me that our bodies know, oh, by the way, before I tell you, totally fixed me. I mean, I used to get so dizzy I would have to leave work. I went to doctors for it. I did some, the exercises for the vestibular system, and it helped to a degree, but it wasn't until Dr. Walter suggested that supplement that I was much, much, much better. I rarely get dizzy, and if I do, it's like for a second and then it goes away. As where before the treatment, I could be dizzy for at least a week and severely dizzy. So what Dr. Walter taught me was, our bodies know everything about it. Like anything that's wrong with the body knows it. The brain doesn't know it, but the body knows it. And with his ability, he was able to find that information out. So that's why he was able to stick his finger in my ear. And he said, if there's a problem, your energies are going to die. So when he would push on my arm, I couldn't resist. And my arm would go down because the energy was not there where in the ear at that point. And any place else that he would test for, like I had a problem with when I would eat, I would get a severe pain through here. So when I went to him, he was like, okay, well, let's see what's going on. So he pointed here. He asked me to put my arm out, pushed on my arm, and my arm went down. I could not resist. He said, Frank, that's your digestive tract. He prescribed enzymes. Within a month, no more problems. He did many things like that. He was just an extraordinary doctor. So as he treated me, he was mentoring me. He really liked me, so he would let me spend time in his office, and we would talk for a few hours when I would go and visit him and see him and whatever. And he was very generous. Sometimes he wouldn't even charge me if I didn't have the money. Just an incredible doctor. He was 88 years old when he died. And I used to say to him, Dr. Walter, you have to pass this information. You have to get someone to succeed. You're a successor. And he said, yeah, Frank, I'm writing a book on what I do. But, and I've seen other holistics and I've seen other kinesiologists, and none of them even come close to Dr. Walter. I mean, Dr. Walter was extraordinary. And I say this so that I can, show you the degree of what I'm able to do myself. Because remember, as I mentioned, I'm going to be able to show you what to do for the autistic person that whether it's your child or, an adult or whatever. Seriously, it's one thing to do. That's it. One thing. And it will change your child's life or whoever's dealing with the autism. But before we get there, I want to give you like some backstory. So Dr. Walter mentored me the whole 13 plus years that I knew him. And by the end of his life, he showed me everything that he knew. And when he died, I realized, oh, I'm the person that was handed the torch, so to speak. Much to my surprise, I never imagined that I would be able to do the things Dr. Walter had done. But I can. And I developed some other techniques that, Dr. Walter uses kinesiology, the testing of the muscle to see if there's a problem. So I'll illustrate it again. So let's say this battery. Let's say he wanted to see if the battery was going to cause me harm or if this was harmful. So he would have me put it on my chest, whatever it was, whether it's a battery or a supplement or even this glass of water, right? He would be able to tell if it was good for me or not good for me, because again, he's told me that the body knows everything that's going on with it, and it knows exactly what's wrong, and it knows exactly what it wants to get better and what it doesn't want near it that's not good for it. So like your cell phone, for example, is it really a problem to have a cell phone on your body? Well, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But so let's take, for example, this battery. So he would put the battery on my body, and then he would, to see if my body had a problem with this particular energy, because everything has energy, he taught me. And when you put the particular thing on your body, that energy is being transmitted to your body, and your body will know if it likes the energy or not. So this was the premise that he used to figure out what was going on within the body and what he could use to help the body get better. So he would have me put my arm out, and then he would push on it with his arm while I held this to my chest, whatever it was, the supplement, in this case the battery. And he would ask me to resist, and he would push. And if I could resist, then whatever it was that was on my body was good for me. If I couldn't resist and my arm would go down as he pushed, then he knew that this wasn't any good for me. And the first time, one of the first things that I experienced with him was I had initially went to him for Candida albicans, which is an overgrowth of yeast in the intestinal tract, which can be horrible and cause incredible damage. But I won't get into that right now. But he fixed me of that, where I went to another holistic doctor. She charged me $400 for the initial visit, and I think it was $275 each follow-up visit. She had every credential you can imagine on her wall. She gave me a laundry list this long of things to take for the Candida. None of it helped. I met Dr. Walter, told him that I was diagnosed with Candida albicans. He goes, okay, Frank, let's see. So he put his hand where my gut is, and he told me to put my arm out as he pushed on my arm, and he asked me to resist. I couldn't resist. His response was, not only do you have Candida albicans, but you have a mass amount of it. He goes, if you do what I tell you to do, you're going to be fine. He gave me three things to take, as opposed to this laundry list of like 25 different supplements. 3 supplements, rotate them every 4 days until your symptoms are gone. He also said stay away from carbohydrates, because the Candida albicans will feed off of the sugar that's produced by the carbohydrates, and stay away from sugars as well. So next time I saw him about a month later, he said, so Frank, how you doing? I said, well, he goes, well, have you done what I told you? I said, well, not. He goes, well, listen, if you want to get better, do what I tell you to do. So you know what? I said, I'm going to do what he tells me to do. I took a good month, stayed away from sugars, stayed away from carbs, and did exactly what he told me with the supplements. And sure enough, I was good. All of my symptoms, the foggy brain, the irritable bowel, the bloating, all of the symptoms disappeared. Perfect. And he said, okay, Frank, now you know what we have to do next. And I had no clue, and neither did any of the other doctors, the MDs, these so-called physicians that we go to. They couldn't help me. He goes, now that we got rid of the Candida, and we've not rid of it because the body will always have that particular bacteria in it, but we brought it to a level that is acceptable within the body. He goes, now we got to fix the intestinal linings of your gut, because candida, those little things have little what you would call a drill, and they drill into your gut, hence leaky gut syndrome. And leaky gut syndrome will cause unbelievable damage to the organs in your body. So he knew, he was such an amazing doctor, such comprehensive man, and his abilities and his understanding, that he gave me supplements to heal the gut wall. So no leaky gut, no more candida, and that was the first exposure. But one day, this was very profound. I brought an FDA-approved drug for baldness. I forget what they call it, finasteride or whatever the case is. So I brought it to him, and he said, so I said, what do you think of this? And he was like, what is it? I was like, well, I don't want to tell you. Just, I want you to test it. So he took it, he put it on my body, and he said, put your arm out. He pushed on my arm. I could not hold my arm up. It went down. He goes, Frank, whatever this is, stop it immediately. Immediately. I showed him what it is. He goes, oh, okay, fine. Don't take it. Stop. Your body doesn't want it. Sure enough, now that same FDA-approved drug is being linked to, I believe, testicular cancer in men, something like that. So that was one thing that he did that made me realize, wow, this guy's on another level. And the thing that finally sold me to Dr. Walter was because, of course, if someone's pushing on your arm and they're making all these different, diagnoses, and they're telling you that their body knows exactly what it wants and what it needs, and they do this, and that's how they do it, and they figure it out, that seems a little bit, you're not used to that stuff. So I was still skeptical even after he had helped me with countless things, except 2 years into it, there was this young lady who had a severe problem with her. She was breaking out all over her body, all over her skin, everything was going wrong. And she wanted to see Dr. Walter. So she asked if he could come to my house. She didn't want to go to his office. So he made a house call in my house, and he's beginning the treatment. And what he does is, to start, he called it a scan, where he would take his hand while the patient is fully clothed. He would take his hand without touching them, not even asking them a question, and just going over all the parts, all the organs, all the major lymph nodes, and all the glands, and all the major organs, up to the, I guess, where, the sexual organ is. And after that, he wouldn't go any further down, not touching the patient. Then, when he got to her belly button, he stopped and he asked the question, do you have a scar? And he pointed to her belly button. And she said, no, I don't have a scar. Okay, so he started to scan again, starts at the top, gets to the belly button again, and stops, and he says, are you sure you don't have a scar here? Because every time I get to this spot, your energy dies. So I'm listening to this. So she says, no, I don't. So he starts again, gets to the same place. I can tell he's about to ask the question again, but thinks better of it and finishes the scan. Okay, long story short, what he told her to do to get rid of her, the acne that was all over her body, she did it, and it was completely gone. Like, incredible. I think it was 5 supplements, completely cleared up all of her acne. But what happened was, 2 days later, that same girl was at my house. We were watching a movie, and we're on my couch, and she yawns, and she raises up her hands as she's yawning, right? And her shirt comes up above her belly button. And what's there? A scar. So most people ask me, well, why did she not tell him that there was a scar there? And to me, that's not what's important. What was important is, and amazing, was that Dr. Walter was able to know that she had a scar in that place. That's what was amazing, nothing else. And she did tell me the reason. She was embarrassed, she said. I mean, I don't know, whatever. That was her reason. But can you imagine the gift that someone would have to have if you were able to use your hand and go over someone's body and tell where the energy dies, and ask them if they have a scar there, because when they get to that area, all the energy dies. I mean, that's just extraordinary right there on its own. Ever since then, I never doubted one word Dr. Walter said to me. Not one word. Now I can do everything Dr. Walter does. But I don't ask someone that I'm helping put out their arm. I recently helped a girl. She had severe dizzy spells. I mean, like debilitating, couldn't work. She had to hold on to stuff when she would walk. It was just horrible, which I know about because I had the same problem. Dr. Walter treated me. So I knew what to do for her. So I tested her brain, which I can do. I tested the brain, and instead of using the arm to test if there's a problem somewhere, I just used my own arm. So I touched her different parts of her brain, and no problem. So I figured, okay, it must be in the middle ear, because there's liquid in the middle ear, and if it's ever imbalanced, it will create dizziness, and things like an infection in the ear will cause that. So I put my fingers in her ear, and sure enough, her left ear, I couldn't raise my arm. And that's where the muscle test, because the energy, again, the energy, when I put it into here, let's say her problem was here, I tried to lift up my arm like that. But since she had a problem, the energy died, so I couldn't lift my arm. Now that sounds insane or whatever, but it's reality. Kinesiology is a reality, and it's an amazing thing to use to be able to treat people with these different problems. If let's say for example, okay, here's an example. I'm going to put this right here. Now, if this is bad for me, I won't be able to raise my arm. If this energy here is no good for my body, so let's see, I'm going to try to raise my arm right now. I tell you, if you offered me $1 billion, I wouldn't be able to raise my arm. But the minute I take it away, no problem. So I know this is no good. The body doesn't want that near it. It's just no good. So it's a very different way of treating things, but it's the thing that works. And that's what we want. We want things that work. It doesn't matter the means to the end, as long as it works. So, doctors are prescribing, like, say, FDA-approved drugs, right? They're prescribing them at alarming rates, right? And what's happening? People are getting sick and getting other things and other problems as a result. Now, if I were prescribed it, I would just simply take the medicine, put it here, and I would do the kinesiology test, the muscle test, because my body knows if it wants that. The brain doesn't, but the body knows. It receives the energy coming from that particular thing. And remember, Dr. Walter did say everything has energy, Frank, and your body knows what energy it likes and what it doesn't. So if this was, let's say, let's say this was a prescription for, I don't know, whatever condition you have, and I treated you, I would simply put it on your body, and I would see what would happen to my arm. If I can raise it up, it's fine. And if I can't, that's not a good drug for you. And that's the power of the muscle test for kinesiology, and the gift and the intense ability of Dr. Walter that he handed down to me. So I'm able to do this. So now let's talk about what you really want to know. But you needed to hear the backstory. What you want to know is, how do I help my child or my loved one with their autism? Like, really, is there something in the world that's going to fix this problem? Now, they have treatment. And some people respond very well to it, but they don't get completely well. They just respond well and things improve. And how did I discover the treatment for autism? Well, this is my gift. I can touch any part of the body, like here, the master brain. If I had a problem with the master brain, I couldn't lift my arm up. Let's say I was treating someone and I put my hand on their brain, on their master brain here, and I tried to lift my arm and I couldn't. Then I would know that they have a problem here. Or any other organ, the glands, the heart, anything, the liver, the gut, anything, the ears, the nose, the throat, the eyes. As long as I touch it, I'll know if there's a problem there. Because if I can't raise my arm, there's an issue. And then it gets even more intense. There's the varying degrees from a scale of 1 to 10 where the problem is, so it's an incredible science, and it is science, and the beautiful thing about this is that I don't diagnose the person. The body is going to give up the diagnosis. I'm just simply the conduit, right? And so it's a blessing. So there's no guessing, they call it practicing medicine for a reason, because they're not exactly sure. So they're going to prescribe, they're going to this. With what I do and what Dr. Walter did, there is none of that. All the guessing is out. The body gives up the information. Simply, if I have a problem, if I touch someone and they have a problem with their heart, I won't be able to raise my arm, and I'll know. I'll be like, listen, you've got a problem with your heart. And I'll be able to figure out exactly where the problem is. Exactly. And I'm not a heart surgeon, so if I can't treat it with supplements, then, it's out of my hands. I would certainly recommend seeing, anyway, I would never tell anyone not to see a doctor or not to take the drugs they prescribe. But if they were someone I was treating, like this other woman who was dealing with depression, she was on 2 drugs, Wellbutrin and some other drug, and she was experiencing horrible side effects of severe, stress and anxiety and shaking. And so I took both supplements. The Wellbutrin was fine. When I put it on her body, I was able to lift my arm, nothing, no problem. When I took the other one, I couldn't lift my arm. I said, this is your problem. You got to get rid of this. This is what's causing all of the problems. Sure enough, she went to her doctor. The doctor weaned her off it, and all of those side effects went away. I told her to stay on the Wellbutrin, but she was afraid to. But anyway, that's just the power of the things that Dr. Walter had taught me, and my ability now to use them to treat myself. I'm constantly, I haven't gotten sick in literally maybe 4 years, and the last time I got sick, it was for one day, overnight, and it was gone. I used to get sick all the time and stay sick for a very long time. So anyway, let's get back to how I figured out how to treat the autism. There's a child in my building, and I've known him since he was like 3. Can't talk, all the spectrum, all the different symptoms of autism. He has them. Can't speak. Now he's like 7. He still can't speak. The family has him on a treatment where they use vitamin B12 and another host of stuff. And I was able to, by touching him and doing what I do, I was able to see how far the things that they're using to help him get better are going to bring him. And according to what I found, they are going to help him. But they're not going to fix him. So one day, I'm in the elevator, and the boy comes into the elevator and starts hugging me, which he never did before. So I took that as an opportunity to put my hand right here on his brain. And when I tried to raise my arm, I couldn't. I was like, oh. And then I went to the back of his head, and I could raise my arm. And then I went to the center of the brain. I could raise my arm. But when I went here, I couldn't raise my arm. So I knew that his autism lay in this part of the brain. That's the part of the brain Dr. Walter called the master brain. And obviously, even if you don't know, if you know the signs of autism and the characteristics of autism, it's a developmental issue, right? It's a developmental problem in the brain. They can't speak, they can't articulate, they can't, do what we do and what we take for granted and what the brain does naturally for us. So it was right here. So obviously, this is a place where medicine has finally figured out that it's responsible for memory, for intelligence, and for, ciphering through all of our emotions. This right here. Now, if science never said that, with the ability that I have, I would know, oh, there's a problem here. And anyway, it's a very intense thing, and I can't get into every last bit of it, but the reality is that this stuff works, and sometimes you got to take a leap of faith, and sometimes that's just the way it goes. We take a leap of faith when we go to a doctor. And meanwhile, we take a leap of faith when we go to the hospital, and people end up dead in hospitals because of their inadequate ability to treat things, because they're simply practicing medicine. But anyway, not to take away anything from that organization and that whole thing. They do great work, and a lot of good things come out of it. But I'm saying we go there in faith. So it's always a leap of faith. And so back to the child. So I realized that his problem was here, right? Now, after I touched him, I have a gift where I have his energy. So as soon as I got home, I said, I suspect that this thing that I use for my own brain is going to help him. I took the supplement, I put it here. I asked my body, is this going to help my brain? I said, yes. Now after touching him, I have his energy with me, because it's all energy. Everything is energy. My gift is I can bring up his energy as if he was with me. So I brought up his energy, and this time I was able to ask, is this going to assist the child? As soon as I asked the question, my arm went up. Then I said, from a scale of 1 to 10, where is his brain now? His brain is functioning at 2 out of 10. This is anything below 8 is unacceptable. 2, no wonder why the boy can't even speak. Right? So just by doing that, I'm able to tell. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 2. So then I took the same supplement, put it on my body, and I said, now, having this on the body, this energy, what is this going to do to the brain? I was able to lift my arm up. Then I went back here, and I said, okay, so where is it going to improve it to? Once the child takes this supplement, where is his brain function going to be when he's done with the treatment? It went up to a 10. I was able to raise my arm at 10. So the treatment that I have for that child will fix his autism. It will bring him as if he never had it. It'll clean him. And at very best, it's going to be as good as the treatment he's on, which it takes 3 to 5 years to see the results of that treatment with the B12 and all the other things that they're coming up with now. 3 to 5 years. My treatment will take 6 months. That's it. 6 months, and the boy will experience the ability to speak. Why? Because the supplement that I'm going to give him is simply going to completely heal that part of the brain. That's what it does. It heals that part of the brain, man, because, the brain is such a complex thing that we don't even fully understand it. We think we do, but we don't. I'm a recovery coach, right? And I have this ability. So I wrote a dissertation on what addiction is and where it lies. And part of the addiction lies in the brain. And I explained exactly why. And part of the reason is because our brain is a survival mechanism. It helps us survive. So when we touch the fire as little children, it teaches us to, it makes us pull away, right? That's what it does. The brain is a survival mechanism. So it innately helps us survive. So whatever we need to survive, that's what it's focusing on. So happiness, belonging, all these things are innate needs. Belonging, happiness, joy, feeling love, feeling secure. These are innate needs for human beings. So when we use drugs, they sort of like tap into certain innate needs, and they ignite the dopamine levels in the brain, and they ignite the part of the brain that has that pleasure center in it, and here comes the addiction. So I read this in a Harvard medical journal, but before I read it, I had already written the same exact thing because of the ability that I have. I knew to correlate all these things, and I knew that's what it was by being able to do what I do. And when I read the journal, it was exactly what I wrote, but they were missing one important ingredient, which I'm not going to go over here. I'll have another video about addiction and, the core root of why that person who used the same drug didn't become addicted, and I used that drug and I became totally addicted. There's a reason for that, and science has not explained that yet. But because of this ability that I have, I'm able to explain it. And, you don't have to be a doctor to be gifted. Like, Columbus, he wasn't an astronomer. He didn't have, radars up in the sky taking pictures of Earth, but he knew that Earth was round, while his constituents, which involved aristocrats, the smartest people of the time, were like, no, the Earth is flat. But this man knew the Earth was round. And, very simply, and I'll tell you why he knew. Most people don't know why he knew. He knew because he looked up at the moon, he saw it was round, and he did what Einstein told us to do. Everything is relative. And he realized, listen, if that up there is round, then this over here is round too. And he wasn't no astronomer. He was none of that. So you may say, oh, are you an MD? No, I'm not an MD. But I can help you with stuff that your MD won't be able to help you with. That's just the reality. Again, not to take away anything from them. We just want to get the help that we need, right? That's it. So if you're drowning, would you insist that the person that come and save you have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree? No, you wouldn't. You'd be like, just save me. Even if it's like, someone without a job, as long as they save you. That's the key here, right? So here I'm going to tell you exactly what you need. It's simple. Coconut oil. Yeah, that's it. Coconut oil. That's it. God's incredible gift of coconut oil. You take that with your autism, and there you go. You're going to experience dramatic. Now, for the child, what he needed was 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. Really just 2 tablespoons. Not more, not less. You have to measure it out for 6 months every day. And he was going to be like a brand new child. Unfortunately, the family, they're so worried and they don't know, and they're caught up in all the other stuff that they haven't done it. But they will experience an incredible. Listen, I know. I use coconut oil because I read that it helped a gentleman with Alzheimer's. And incredible story. The guy couldn't read. He went to the doctor. The doctor said, draw a clock. He couldn't draw a clock. And suddenly the wife started cooking with coconut oil. And then suddenly she noticed that he was able to start doing things that he couldn't do. And then when he went back to the doctor 4 months later, he drew the clock perfectly with all the numbers and everything. And then I knew that I needed to try coconut oil because I had suffered severe toxic brain poisoning. I took a supplement called manganese and it destroyed my brain function. But with the coconut oil, every time I took the coconut oil, I just felt better. So whatever it is, that the fat consistency within coconut oil is just perfect for the brain. And, we have a God, whether you believe in God or not, doesn't matter. Our beliefs, the God that created the universe made sure the coconut oil was there. And interestingly enough, coconut oil is the only oil that congeals in weather. Like, so when it's cold, it gets solid. My coconut oil, my olive oil doesn't do that. My corn oil, my safflower, my sunflower, none of that does that. But that coconut oil gets solid. And then when it gets warm, it gets liquidy. There's something very special in coconut oil. So there you have it. If you have a child with autism, I'm not asking you to go get an FDA drug. I'm not asking you to put the kid on his head for 12 hours. All you need to do is give the child coconut oil. 2 tablespoons. That was for this child. I'm sure it varies from child to child. And that's why if you have the ability to see me, see me. I'm in New York City. I'll show you exactly what the child needs and when he needs to stop, because just taking it is, the stopping is just as important as the taking it. When it starts, when it stops, some might be intermittent. My coconut oil is intermittent, not consecutive, because that could start creating problems with your arteries, because it's an incredible fat, but it is fatty. So we have to be careful with that. So if you can see me, great. If you can't, listen, try it. Try it. But you're going to make the decision, not me. I'm not responsible for your decisions. I'm not here to, any of that. And it's just natural coconut oil. That's it. Find out if the child's allergic to coconut oil. Do all your due diligence before you do it, if you're going to do it, and then do it. If it's all good, make sure the child's okay. Coconut oil's not going to hurt him, and then I would recommend doing it. But of course, you're going to do what you want. I'm not telling you what to do, and I certainly couldn't tell you what to do through a video camera. I'm here to help, but so that's it. So if you get something out of it, I would ask that you would make a donation. If you're a person of means, then donate what it's really worth to you. If you're a person that doesn't have means and you want to donate, hey, listen, $10 is great. But really, if you use this and it helps you, and you're a person of substantial means, and I'm sure you would donate. If someone said to you, listen, I'm an MD and I'm going to tell you to do with your child, and it's going to work, and you're going to pay me X amount of money, and it works, you would gladly pay that amount. You would gladly. So that's what I would ask for you to do. I'm not going to charge for this incredible information, because it's a gold mine. I just understand that people are suffering, and that people need, and that's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm giving away my secret. This is a secret that can garner me incredible, fame, but it's not about that. It's not about the money. It's about helping families and children and people. Like, if I had something like that and there was a treatment for me, and someone was withholding it because they wanted fame and money, then I would be denied something so valuable from my life. So that's why I give it away. So there you go. So I do wish you all the best, and please let me know what you're going to do. And if you want my assistance, like I said, I can fix people with so many issues: leaky gut, heavy metals, severe dizziness, glandular problems, And if I can't fix it, I won't. I'll know. I won't. I'll let you know I can't fix it. I can't help you, but I can help a lot of things. Yeah. So anyway, I'm Frank Cruz, the Sober Guardian. Oh, and by the way, the name of the video is To Cure Autism.